let's look at how you deal with a missed lift, how you react to not getting what you set out to get, whether that be a one rep max or the last in the set of six. What do you do next? So I'm going to suggest that we do not look at what we did wrong. Let me explain. Most of the time, when you mess up, your mind begins to do a lot of analysis to figure out where you made your mistake. And that's important. You have to analyze. But if you're doing some weightlifting, really how many things can possibly go wrong? It's not like you're on a golf course and there are thousands of different angles and wind conditions and weather conditions and greens conditions and etc., etc. In the weight room, it's pretty set. There's only a few things that can go wrong, and you probably know what they are. So if you're not at that point with your technique, yeah, you got to look at what you did wrong and figure that out. But I'm talking about those of us who have already gone past that point, and we make an error, and I don't think it behooves us to go back and look what we did wrong. We know what we did wrong right away, almost all the time. But we focus on that. We stick with the thing we did wrong. So let me be clear. I'm not saying that people who still need to master their technique can do this. They have to look at what they did wrong and figure it out and make it right. That's not what I'm talking about here. So I didn't preface that, but that's where I'm coming from. I'm talking about those of us that know what we're doing and we miss a lift. We focus on what we did wrong. Oftentimes, we perseverate on it. It goes over and over and over in our mind, and we judge it. I'm saying none of that is helpful. Absolutely none of it is helpful. You know what you did wrong. You don't have to re-identify it and then re-identify it and then go over what you re-identified and then review that. It's not necessary. You know what you did wrong. Leave it. Leave it behind. And focus on what you need to do right. It sounds like the same thing, right? If you know that you lifted your head or something or whatever, it sounds like I know I lifted my head and I have to keep my head down. I'm saying just focus on how you keep your head down. Think about what you're going to do to keep your head down. What are the strategies you're going to think about? What is the physical things that you need to do to make sure that happens? And instead of focusing on the fact that you lifted your head and the head came up, leave that. Leave it. Put all your energy into what to do now. Where do I go now? How do I keep my head down? What do I need to do that? And the way that you look at that changes. First of all, there's no judgment in thinking about what you're going to do because you haven't done it right or wrong. There's judgment attached to looking backwards at what you did wrong. And judgment is not helpful. We still have to do it right the next time. Whether we say, oh, I'm an idiot, I should have never done that, I can't believe I made that same mistake again, I'm a fool, I'm no good, I'm a terrible person. None of that has any bearing on your next attempt. None of it. And I don't know that any of it is true. What matters is what you do next. So leave the judgment, leave the looking back at what you did wrong behind you, and focus on all the things that you need to do right. So if it was a golf swing and you missed the swing, you know what you did wrong. You know where your weight was wrong. One thing you can do is mentally then go right to the point in your swing where you made the mistake and start there and think in depth and visualize about doing it right from there. So if you shifted your weight to the left, then start where you began your shift and keep it, imagine yourself doing it right. So what I'm saying is, instead of looking backwards and going over that in your imagination over and over and over, take your imagination and see yourself doing it right from the place that you messed up, from the point that you picked your head up or shifted your weight. Imagine that over and over and over, going right. See yourself doing it right. Do it right again. Do it right again. Do it right again in your head. Don't go back and replay yourself doing it wrong over and over and over. How could that be helpful? How would you even want to do that? But yet, I've been guilty of doing that for weeks at a time after a big lift at a big meet that I missed. And I know what I did wrong, and boy, it comes back over and over and over. The wrongness of it. It's not helpful. It's not going to make you do it right. So how we deal with a miss can shape how quickly we learn from it and fix it. You get right to fixing it. Don't stay on it. Don't stay on the negativeness. Don't stay on the miss. Just leave the miss behind. Leave that judgment that goes with it behind, and the bad feelings too. Leave that behind too. And start feeling good about seeing yourself doing it right. You know you can. You know what to do. Just imagine it over and over and over correctly, instead of imagining it over and over and over incorrectly. So to recap, my point is this. When you make a miss, when you mess up on anything, don't perseverate on that. Don't stick with that, the mess up. Leave it. Just drop it as if it never existed. And imagine yourself doing it correctly. Just focus your attention and your subconscious and your imagination on doing it right in your mind. You'll get to where you want to go a lot quicker that way, and it'll feel better.